Hello, fellow human light beings. This is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. Welcome back to the Thunder Wizard YouTube channel. This is the Solar Flash update for February 20th, 2024. And we're going to be asking the question, will 5D give humans instant powers of manifestation? How can we prepare to make this 5D shift? Today I'm going to be taking a viewpoint a little bit slightly different from what I've been talking about, and we're going to look at some very old information that I've been giving, which is actually, I've come to find out, what will be the main focus of everybody's life once we get to 5D. Hello and welcome again back to the channel. This is Mahadeva the Thunder Wizard. It is my, very annoying. My laptop gets a little overheated and it starts to complain. So maybe by lifting it, that'll help. Anyway, welcome to the channel. So we talk a lot about what we can do to shift to 5D, and as you know, I've often got lists of things that you can do to accomplish all kinds of things, and all of those lists are very important. And those lists are sort of geared towards the work that we have to do. And the shift in mindset and the shift in self-awareness that is necessary for this. But today I want to take a simpler tack, because the truth is there's a lot of people that won't have to work so hard. And those are going to be the people who probably have less trauma, less emotional and psychological trauma. It is, from my perspective, at least the people that I interact with, it is a truth that a large percentage of people who come to my channel are people who've got some challenges and some trauma. And so trauma and challenges, what they do is they tend to bind us to the third dimension. So for some of us, myself included, we might have to be willing to do some work and look at some challenging things in order to be able to overcome those attachments. But it's not necessary. And when we get through working through all that stuff, everybody's going to be doing this very, very simple process. So if you're somebody who's been following my channel, you know that I've been uploading little 1-minute trailers on the shorts for my books. And so the most recent one I put up is for my first real book. It's actually my second book, or my third book, but it's the one that has been the blueprint for my entire life and is the blueprint behind everything that I teach. And if you master it, you can master everything. You can master anything. And that is the Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life, which of course you can get here. You can barely see it here because I'm still left over from doing the other thing, michaelwilliamdenny.com. That's where you can find all of my books. Or you can just go to Amazon and look for it, but you got to have the title right. So that book is the basis for everything that I do. It is the basis of everything that I think. And so all of these other things that I teach you to do, which I don't know. I mean, what I want to do when I come on here is I want to give you tools. And I know if I just sit there and babble, I mean, that's great, but a lot of people may not know what to do with that. And so it's important to have, these lists of what to do and have specific things you can follow to achieve the things that I'm teaching you to do. Because the last thing I want is for people just to sit and listen to me talk. I know some of you do. I know some of you just put me on in the background and you listen to me talk. I have no idea how this is helping you or not. I know some of you listen, and I know some of you, maybe not all of you, maybe a small percentage of you, but I know some of you have difficulty just taking actions in some of these areas. I know because I've interacted with a lot of you. So that gives me this feeling of wanting to really, get you into the warrior mode and get you to take action and do the work. It's not necessary. There's some very simple things you can do if you have the chutzpah. If you can do them, you won't have to worry about other stuff. So we're going to be talking about that today. So, will 5D give humans instant powers of manifestation? So, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not in 5D yet. I've been there, and I've been taken to the mindset twice. Light beings have shifted me up to the mindset of 5D, which was phenomenal. I mean, it was like being on the most unbelievable, blissful, drug trip ever. I mean, I'm quite certain that my brain was filled with DMT while it was happening. Natural, of course, which is what I recommend. I don't think you should externally ingest anything, but you should get your body to produce it. And DMT is something that the body produces naturally, and you can train your body to produce more and more of it. In fact, that's what the 90-day challenge is all about. That's what the, all the Maoshan, Qigong, everything. That's what all of that is about. By the way, before I forget, if you're new to the channel, here's what I need you to do. I need you to subscribe, like, and comment. Because there is this thing called shadow banning, and people like me, I'm not the only person, but people like me that tell the truth, YouTube comes along and takes away subscribers and takes away views so that less people find it. So I need you to subscribe. Check and see if you're subscribed, and resubscribe if necessary. And comment, like, all that stuff. Go to the free playlist page. There you will find 3 playlists. I want you to focus on these 3 first: the Maoshan Qigong, the Interdimensional Meditation, and the 12 Steps to 5D. Do one thing from at least one of those playlists every day. If you can do one from each of them every day, great. Of course, I'm talking to people who aren't already subscribed. If you aren't subscribed, go to thunderwizard.com and subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong. And we will be automatically doing all that stuff. All you have to do is press play, follow the videos, and literally just do what I do. It's the easiest thing in the world. And you can unsubscribe whenever you want. All right, so that's what I need you to do if you're new to the channel. And if you want to get something out of this channel, there's some things you're going to have to do. So, will 5D give humans instant powers of manifestation? I believe that that is a very real possibility. And the reason why is because human beings will be living what I teach in the book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment. And that book was revolutionary for me. I had just gotten out of a divorce. I literally had nothing. I didn't even know how I was going to pay rent. I was actively choosing not to go and get some, labor job or work at Walmart or something like that, because I just refused. I just made the decision I wasn't going to do anything I didn't want to do. And so I wanted my channel to take off. I wanted my teaching career to take off so that I didn't have to do any of that nonsense. And I had enough experience to know that if I listen deeply and I ask the universe, this is long before I was aware of light beings, if I ask the universe and listen, I will usually get a very clear one-word answer if I really relax and listen. So I said, give me one thing to write a book about. Long story short, that book turned out to be The Shamanic Secret Commandment. I chose to live that book. I didn't know if it was going to work. All I knew was that I was unwilling to go and, be a middle-aged guy working, at Walmart or, something, pumping gas or something like that. I was just unwilling to do that. And so I was willing to, whatever that meant. I wasn't going to do what I didn't want to do. And so by default, I had to live the principles of that. And there are some fundamental things, but the bottom line is that if we go to the basic bottom line of the Shamanic Secret Commandment, it starts with two assumptions. First one is that the universe completely, totally loves you. That there is no negative anything inside of you and other people. Yes, there are evil spirits and ghosts, but the truth is, let me just, forgive me for going on a tangent for a moment. Those of you who believe that there are evil forces stronger than you in the spiritual world that control your life, I want you to listen to this story. My intuition has told me for years that ghosts are not the souls of humans. Now that I've been to higher dimensions, now that I've communicated in my conscious mind as a result of interdimensional meditation, I've communicated with all of the members of my family who have passed away. Now that I know that there's no such thing as death, that the soul, once it leaves the physical body, it goes to where souls go to, which are higher dimensions. And when you wake up from living in your physical body and you wake up in your soul, it's not like you're in this other place and you don't know where you are, except maybe in the first few seconds. But when you wake up, you go, oh, that's right. This human life was just a video game. I keep forgetting I was only here for a short time. That's not who I am. I mean, now I'm back to who I am. That was just a dream. But ghosts do exist. And I've been saying forever that ghosts are the lower self, which I talk about in other videos. But basically, it's your 3D ID, your mindset. When you become part of this 3D video game, you have to create a character. You have to create an avatar to interface with this game, just like if you play a real role-playing immersive game online. You have to create a character. That character isn't you. Well, when you become human, you actually start to believe the character. You think you are that person. Well, that character, when you die, if you die with your mindset being attached to the third dimension, your soul still leaves your body and goes where souls go. But that part of you gets squished out onto the third dimensional plane. And imagine your character, if you're playing, World of Warcraft, imagine your character, getting squished out onto real life, thinking that it's you. That's what a ghost is. So a ghost isn't a person. It doesn't even really have a life. It's sort of like an AI emotional projection. And ghosts don't last forever. I mean, you can go to places that are hundreds of years old and you'll see ghosts. You might even see your own ghost from another life. I'm going to share with you a story to prove that. But after a few hundred years maximum, those ghosts begin to fade and they return to what they are. They go back to the earth and they are earth spirits for a while before they return to just being energy. So I'm going to share with you the story of this. And I was just watching YouTube a few days ago, and I just bumped into this. And it's some guy on his podcast, and he was talking about a ghost story. And he said that there was a woman who ran into her own ghost. And I thought, that sounds very interesting. I want to hear about that. So here's how the story goes. There was a family that had either bought a house or rented it, I don't know which, from somebody who had lived there, and was now an elderly woman, and she had lived there and raised children and all that. And so they bought or were renting that house from her. And they said, we can't live there anymore. And she says, why? It's a beautiful house. I lived my whole life there. So we can't live there. There is a ghost there. She says, I never once saw a ghost. I was there for decades. And they explained to her what the ghost did. So the ghost, they would be in the house, and it would be, I think it was in the kitchen or something, and this figure of a young woman would appear, and she was crying, and she was in so much pain that she was smashing her head against the wall. And you'd see blood start to trickle down on the wallpaper from her head hitting the wall. And that she would appear, and she would do that for however long that was, for a couple of minutes, and you could see the blood coming off of her head onto the wall, and then it would all disappear. And this kept on happening. And they said, there's just no way we can live with that. It's just too crazy. And I don't know what the woman said, but I got the feeling that she was like afraid to say anything, because that was her. During World War II, her husband was off fighting the Nazis, and I think he had sent her a letter or something saying, look in this certain box for these documents, I need to have them. And so she went rummaging through and found the box in the closet or whatever it is and looked. And then as she's looking through, she finds love letters that between him and some other woman. And she just gave birth to their daughter. And so she was just absolutely heartbroken. And, it was difficult enough that her husband was away, but now she found he was cheating on her. And so it was so heart-wrenching to her that she cried and smashed her head against the wall until blood came out. And so she worked through that, or didn't, I don't know what, but that energetic signature, that expenditure of emotions was so intense that it keeps manifesting like a projection all the time. So negative beings do exist, but they only come from you. Same is true with demons. I know because I was an exorcist, and I've cast out more demons than I can count. And there's exorcists, one of the things they do is they will get the demon to give you their name, because once you have their name, you can control them. And the interesting thing is that every single time I did this, the names of the demons weren't Beelzebub, and they weren't names. They were emotions: greed, lust, fear, self-hatred, insecurity. Those were the names of the demons. So do demons exist? Yes. Do ghosts exist? Yes. Does evil exist in human beings? Yes. But it doesn't exist beyond the third dimension. You've been lied to. I mean, the Bible is a pack of lies. There is no omnipotent devil out there more powerful than you, unless you want to look at your own self-hatred, unless you want to look at your own addictions and attachments. If you want to call that the devil, you'd be right, because again, the people who become possessed, they become possessed by their own intense emotions that they cannot face, that they cannot deal with. And every single person who became possessed, and I did exorcisms on, every single one of them had been physically, mentally, sexually, psychologically abused. Every single one of them. So if you're one of those people and you want to talk about, demons doing things to you, I already know. I know everything I need to know about you. If you think that there's a spiritual attachment to you, I don't know anything about your childhood, but I know everything I need to know. You have unresolved trauma. that you aren't able to look at, and it manifests in this way. So, if you want to learn how to get to this place where we have the ability to have instant powers of manifestation, first assumption you need to adopt is that the universe completely, totally, utterly loves you and is completely, totally committed to your happiness. I understand if you don't feel that. I haven't felt that a lot of my life as well. I understand if you haven't seen that in your life because you've had nothing but difficulties and challenges. I'm not trying to minimize any of that. But the conclusion that you've come to, that there are beings and energies more powerful than you that are doing it to you, is untrue. So that's the first assumption. The universe loves you completely and is totally committed to your happiness. Number two, the second assumption is that your soul is God. Now, I made this assumption without having any proof behind it, and I just acted on that. So the logical conclusion of your soul being God is that if your soul wants something in this three-dimensional reality, because again, if you chose to come here, it means your soul wanted to come here and experience it. Your soul wanted to play a video game and wanted to have fun. It was in bliss and and all this, and it just like when you play a video game. You're not just distracting yourself. You have to go into a limited environment where you can do things that you aren't able to do in your normal reality. So the soul lives in bliss and it's, everything, but it wants to have fun. And so limiting itself for a short time in the third dimension allows it to experiment with manifesting. Learning how to manifest all over again is fun for the soul. So if your soul is God and your soul chose to come here, then that means the desires of your soul must be given to you. The universe loves you, and you're God. You created the universe. You created this 3D Earth matrix, and your soul says, I want fill in the blank. And if you align yourself with that desire and you clearly state that to this three-dimensional video game, the universe must give you what you want. It must do it. It must. Now, does that happen for you? Are you able to just snap your fingers and make anything happen? I'm going to guess probably not. So what's stopping us? What is stopping us from manifesting? Well, there could be a bunch of reasons, but the most prevalent reason is that you may not know the difference between your 3D character and what your 3D character wants and what your soul wants. This truth is so completely, totally revolutionary that the people who've created religions, the people who have created governments, they know this secret. They know that you can control everything. They know that the universe must give you everything you want. So what do? They gaslight you into believing you want things that you don't want. Let me repeat myself. This truth of knowing that the desires of your soul are so revolutionary that the universe must give you everything you truly desire and that you cannot be controlled if you're operating from that. This is such a revolutionary thought to religions and governments that they gaslight you into believing that you want things that you don't want. Now, the other rule is, assumption number 3, is that if you go after things that your soul doesn't want, the universe is going to sabotage you in all kinds of different ways. And the people that don't get sabotaged are the most unlucky. I'm trying to do this without using names, so I will. Bring to mind one of the most successful celebrities you can bring to mind. I can bring to mind a few. Some of them have died horrible deaths. Horrible deaths. And they were very unhappy throughout all of their fame. And they did all kinds of really destructive things to themselves and other people. And it didn't matter how famous they were or how much money they had. They were miserable, and I wouldn't want their life. I certainly wouldn't want the tail end of their lives. Not for a second. They were miserable, lonely, but they were given what they thought they wanted. What they thought they wanted was fame, money, and success. And what they found out is that none of those things give happiness. So, does that mean that their sole desire was to become famous and rich? No. Because if your soul wants something, the universe must give it to you, and you will be happy when you get it. So they obviously were going after something their soul didn't want. You've been told by religion, by education, by society, by government, perhaps by your friends, very likely by your parents. What you should do is you should do this. You should go just get a job that pays and then get on some kind of whatever, save up for retirement. That's what you should be doing. What is this? You want to go and be a ballerina? What is that all about? How does that help society? Your mother and I have slaved and worked hard so that we can give you a place to live, and you need to go and be a part of society and give back. You can't just live for yourself. Who do you think you are? That is a deliberate. Now, your parents probably, if they said that, assuming they said that, they probably love you. They probably believe that. That's what they were told. They don't know any better. But the people at the top know better. They know that's a lie. I mean, I'm just going to tell you an obvious truth that you may not even think about because you live it. You've accepted this assumption and you live it as though it's true, and it's not. And that is, you've been told that money exists. It doesn't. Show me where money is. Show me where it is. You used to be able to, in times past, go, oh yeah, go to Fort Knox, there's a bunch of gold. Well, at least that's an object. But then take a big chunk of gold, go out into the forest and have that chunk of gold give you resources. It won't. You can't wipe your ass with it. You can't eat it. It's not going to keep you warm. You can't live in it. It only has value if you come across somebody else who thinks it has value, and you can give it to that person in exchange for resources and services. So it's just an idea. And that was way back when we had gold, silver. We don't have any of that now. Money doesn't exist. I mean, literally doesn't exist. It's a bunch of ones and zeros in a computer program in a bank account. It doesn't exist. Oh, they can give you cash, but what is cash? It's just empty pieces of paper. It's monopoly money. It only has value because you and I think it has value. It doesn't mean anything. And yet people live their entire lives off it. You are told to live your entire life based on it. You can't get loans. You can't own a house. You can't buy a car. You can't rent a place if the credit score hasn't told you that you have value. We could go on and on and on, but you're being lied to all the time about what you're told has value in this world. So there's only one true value, and that is what your soul wants to experience. It's the only true value you will ever have. That is the only thing that will give you happiness, health. Now, here's what you get. If you are able to distinguish between what you think you want and what your soul wants, if you're able to determine, and this is not an easy thing for a lot of people. Some people are so browbeaten into believing the nonsense they've been told, they don't even know what it is that they want. But if you are able to know what it is that your soul wants, and then you have to do the important part, which is go and get it for your soul. If you do that, here's what I can guarantee you. Complete health, happiness, sense of worth and value, energetic connection, and all the resources you need to accomplish that desire. The challenge is, if you go after your soul, the narrative that says you don't have any value, you have to do what's important for society, you have to do what's important for the narrative. If you go after your soul, at some point, some aspect of that is going to come and try and stop you. It could be your parents. Parents will say, "No child of mine is going to be a ballerina. You can't be here and do that." Well, you're going to have to leave and go do it on your own without their help. The government might come along and say, "You can't do that." You know, I mean, one of the strangest things about taxes, which is, you know, it's just extortion. It's just government extortion. That's all taxes are. But in the US, you know, I've got a business. I'm self-employed. I get taxed just for being self-employed. So I have to pay taxes on whatever money I make. And then on top of that, I get taxed simply because I work for myself. So, I mean, that's just extortion. And that's what the mafia does. Mafia comes and knocks on your door and says, "Hey, you got a nice business here, and you know, I'm here to give you protection." That's what the government says. The taxes are for your protection. How do I know that? Well, because they'll go and, you know, buy things from Pfizer and you know, on your behalf, and, you know, tell you you should take that, and they'll tell you this is for the Army and this is for the Navy and it's for the Air Force. And that's exactly what the mafia does. They knock on your door, say, "Hey, you're in our neighborhood, and I'm here to protect you. So you need to give me 20% of everything you earn, and if you do that, I will protect you," which means we won't come and shut you down. You don't have a choice. You can't say to the mafia guy, "Thank you, no, I'm good. I've got an alarm system. I'm set up." He's going to say, "You don't understand how this works. I'm protecting you from me. So the money protects you from me, and then I protect you from everybody else." And the government does the same thing. If the government says, you know, comes and tries to extort money out of you, "Oh, you've got a business, you got to give us a percentage of that. Oh, and you make money on top of that, you got to give us a percentage of that." And if you say, and you go, "Why are you taking my money?" They say, "Oh, we're providing all of these services for you." And you say, "Well, I appreciate that, but I don't want your services, and I'm not going to give you my money." They're not going to go, "Okay, well, it's your choice." They're going to go, "Oh, well, then we're going to shut you down, and we're going to take you to prison." People go to prison for, I mean, that, again, it's extortion. So you want to give into that? The mindset behind that? That mindset will come looking for you if you follow your soul. Now, just to be clear, I pay my taxes because I don't want to go to prison. So, and since money doesn't exist, I don't care. It's just an idea. It doesn't matter to me. But this will happen if you follow your soul. At some point, some part of the narrative is going to come looking for you, whether it's people in your life, whether it's the government, or whether it's your own unconscious, the narrative, the character that you created. Remember, you're not your character. You are a being of light, an infinite being of light that has come to have a video game. Well, if you start to follow your soul, that character will come looking for you. Like in the movie Inception, you know, when people start to wake up to what's going on, you remember that? Then all the characters in the dream start coming after you because you're breaking the illusion. They don't want that. The unconscious won't allow it. So your unconscious is programmed to please the government, please your parents, please the narrative, and to keep your 3D character going. If you go against it, it's going to come after you. Now, here's the good news. Unlike in Inception, where, I don't know, all the things, the characters in the dream somehow, you know, clamber on top of you and choke you to death or something, your unconscious mind can't do anything. All it can do is try and scare you. All it can do is create a bunch of feelings within you. If you knuckle under, then you lose. So imagine, in the case of your unconscious mind, imagine it's the mafia, but the mafia doesn't have any power. They don't have any strength. They only threaten, but they never follow through. So the mafia says, you got to give us some money, and you say no. And the mafia says, I'm telling you, if you don't give us money, you're going to be in big trouble. And you said, bring it on. I don't care. And then they don't follow through. That's what your unconscious does. Your unconscious won't follow through. It can't, because the only thing it can do is come at you with feelings. Now, sometimes if you struggle with it enough, you can make yourself sick. Definitely. You can injure yourself. These are all manifestations of your unconscious mind really trying to go overboard, trying to stop you. But the only way the sickness and the injuries come is if there's a part of you that still wants that. Very difficult. So this is a very long-winded way of saying that when we get to 5D, that narrative is going to be gone. That mafioso will no longer exist, either internally or externally. And the energy frequency will be so high that you will be able to instantly manifest whatever it is you truly want. Unlike here, where you have to be careful. You know, people say, be careful what you wish for, be careful what you say. You know, you manifest, it's true. We manifest all kinds of negative things. And, you know, we have to be mindful. Which is why I'm telling you guys to do the 90-day challenge and to do the lightning qigong and the Maoshan qigong and the interdimensional meditation, because we still have that mafioso. We got to overcome that guy, and we can do it through these spiritual and energetic tools. All right, so let me see if I can make this more simple. You're an infinite being of light who's chosen to come here. Your soul is in fact God, and I'm telling you that because I've seen it, I've experienced it, I've been to the one true source, what people call source or call God, and that being said, you're me. And I said, I am? He said, yeah. And said, come on, I'll show you. And it was this big ball of light, and I went into the ball of light. By the way, the only people who don't go into the light are cockroaches. So anybody who says don't go into the light, they're telling you to become a cockroach. So unless you want to become a cockroach, you definitely want to go in the light. Went into the light, and what was in there was every single conscious soul that's ever existed, including every single one of you. So you are God. You literally are God. I am not saying that in some cute New Age symbolic meaning. Yeah, of course I'm God. We're all God. I'm not saying that. You are. You literally are God. Can't get any higher. When you go and you look God in the face and you go scroll really close into God's face, you see every other face of every being that's ever existed and exists. That is God. And so God doesn't hate himself. God loves himself. So that means the universe loves you and must obey everything you tell it to do. While you're here in the video game, what you have to do, the main thing you have to do is figure out the difference between what your character wants and what your soul wants. And that's all there is to this life. It's the only thing that matters. So, let's see, was there anything else that I wanted to say? We could take a look at cooperating with the solar flash event, accepting, well, here's what I wanted to say, actually. So we're coming up in April, I believe it is. Is it March or April? Let me see, I've got it here somewhere. But it's going to be April 8th. So on April 8th, there's going to be a solar eclipse that is going to crisscross and go over the exact place where the October 14th eclipse was, which is Texas. Texas right now, Texas is going to be the flashpoint. In the United States, the revolt against the elites, which has begun, the revolt against the narrative, which has begun, we're going to see a huge flashpoint there. It's already started. Texas has walled itself off from federal forces. As you know, they've decided they're going to not allow all of these immigrants coming into their state. And federal forces, the government has said, you need to let us go in there. We're going to handle the immigrant situation. And Texas said, no, you don't get to come in. We're going to enforce our own borders. Now, technically, that's against the law. That is against federal law. They are committing an act of rebellion against the United States government. So the United States government, according to the Constitution, would have the right to come in with armed forces and take over the state. So I don't think that's going to happen because 25 other governors are supporting Texas. Florida has sent, Florida state troops over to Texas. And there's just too many people fighting against the narrative. This is going to blow up even bigger. I don't know to what extent, but we're going to see this. If you haven't already, please, you can even search for it on YouTube. Look for the farmer protests all over the world. France, Germany, they are shutting down the governments because the government, we'll just take Germany for example. Germany took all of the subsidies that it gives farmers. By the way, farmers need those subsidies because it's very expensive to run farms. Very expensive. And of course, your food comes from farms. And so the government wants people to eat. And farmers need to make a living. So government subsidies to farms is important. And so what happened in the case of, I think this is the case of all of them, but I know for a fact this is what happened in Germany. Germany told the farmers, hey, we took all of your subsidies, billions of dollars, and we gave it to Ukraine. So we can't give you the subsidies you need to do your job, give us food, and be able to make a living. So instead, you're going to have to pay us. You're going to have to pay out of your own pocket all of those subsidies, which in essence means you guys are out of business, which means the government takes over the farm, takes over the land, and the next thing you know, Klaus Schwab is telling you that you have to eat crickets, because that's what's coming next. The way to control people is you take away their resources, and the most fundamental resource that humans need is food. If you don't eat, you starve, you die. And if once the government comes in and takes over all of the farms, and then they start telling you, well, you can't have, meat, and you can't have high quality food, we can give you some crickets if you want, then you're going to be more likely to do whatever they say. And that's what's behind all of this. So, this rebellion has started. It's a worldwide rebellion against the elites, against the government, but this is just the beginning. So if you want to understand what this true rebellion is, you can get my book, Interdimensional Revolution, because that is what this is leading to. First, we have to revolt on a 3D level. Now, by revolt, I'm not suggesting anybody do anything. I am telling you, don't get involved in anything. Don't do any kind of civil disobedience. Don't carry banners, flags. Don't do any activism. Don't break the law. No violence. I'm not saying any of that. An interdimensional revolution happens here, in your mind. And when I tell you that the way to get the most out of life is to determine what your soul wants and then do everything you can to give your soul what it wants. That is the greatest form of rebellion there is, and that is an interdimensional rebellion. You are rebelling against the frequency of the third dimension just by doing that. So that is what I'm recommending. But that's what's coming next. This is just the beginning. And we'll see what happens after April 8th. But my logical mind tells me that's the beginning of something that cannot be reversed, because things have already gone beyond. I mean, the psychopathic lunatics running this world, the dark forces, they've got the mind. The thing about people with narcissistic personality disorder is that they're actually infants. Everything that they do comes from an infantile black and white perspective. They honestly believe that you're stupid. They honestly believe that they can manipulate and control you. They honestly believe that you won't fight back and you won't figure out what they're doing. And that's never been the case. And we know exactly what they're doing. And you don't have to go along with anything that goes against your boundaries and your freedom and your soul. You don't have to. And the only way to defeat these people is to choose not to do things that they tell you to do. That's it. And if enough people do that, they have no power, because the whole thing is based on peer pressure. Everything that you've done over the past 3.5 years, especially starting from 2020, everything that you did that they told you to do was out of peer pressure. You'll lose your job. I mean, there are people who've lost. I mean, I've lost friendships over it. There were people that I personally just couldn't listen to their nonsense anymore, but there are other people that can't tolerate me telling them that is poison. I can't tolerate it. So, you're judged. I know people who weren't allowed to see their nieces and nephews because they didn't get. You weren't allowed to go into old folks' home and visit your aging parents. That's peer pressure. That's guilt. The biggest block between you and your freedom is trying to please other people. And that's what's going on with the 3-lettered organizations that are not that are not appointed by you in a democratic fashion. They're appointed by people who then decide to make laws for entire governments that you don't get a chance to vote on. It's all peer pressure, all of it. Anyway, I forgot where I was going with that. So, If you want to be a part of this, then I recommend that you take a look at the videos on my channel, the Shamanic Secret Commandment. I've got playlists. Of course, I have a book. It's a booklet. It's a tiny book. And if you master what's in that book, I guarantee you will find happiness. You might have some challenges within yourself that might manifest in your external world, but so what? So what? This is just a video game. You've come here to overcome these things. Don't let the video game win. That would be ridiculous. And what I've come to learn is that all of the light beings that I communicate with, that, I didn't even know these beings existed when I wrote that book. I just went off of, this is what my instinct is telling me, and I'm just going to decide this is true, and I'm going to act as though it's true, and we'll find out what happens. And I'm going to stake my life and everything on this instinct being true. And it turned out to be 100% true for me. And then when I actually, 10 years later, start interacting with higher dimensional beings, they came to me and they said, the reason why we chose you is because you figured it out. You figured it out all by yourself. And this is how we live. This is how we function. This is how the gods function. So in 5D, there won't be this challenge between figuring out what your character wants, what the narrative wants, and what your soul wants. You'll know what your soul wants. And everybody will be supportive of everybody else following their soul. And when you're in connection with your soul at the frequency that I experienced, you'll be able to manifest everything instantaneously. So I don't recommend waiting around for this to happen. I recommend getting yourself and doing the work now. And the way to do that is, I watch the videos where I talk about it, get the book. If you're taking notes now, take notes, and just do that. Make your priority in life to determine what your soul wants, and then be willing to do anything, sacrifice everything to accomplish it. Because if you do, the universe will protect you, will provide for you, and you will be connected to the infinite energy of the universe. You'll have optimum health, you'll have love, you'll have self-respect, and you'll have anything and everything that you truly want. All right, with that, I'm ready to open things up. Again, if you're new to the channel, what is it I need you to do? I need you to subscribe, like, comment, go to the playlist page, click on Maoshan Qigong, Interdimensional Meditation, 12 Steps to 5D. Subscribe to the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong at the thunderwizard.com YouTube channel. While you're at it, you can go check out the Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life playlist. All of that is free on the YouTube channel. If you want to get the book, you can go here to michaelwilliamdenny.com and you'll see all of my books there. The 3 books that I recommend people get, I have a bunch more, but the 3 that I recommend are Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth, Interdimensional Revolution, which we are in the midst of, and the Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. All right, having said that, let's see if there's anything anybody wants to say of any value here. Thundra says hello. Hello, Thundra. So, Jedi Black Knight. Okay, Texas. That's what I was going to say. What does this have to do? We were talking about. So Anyway, I'm not going to talk about that subject because it's a dangerous thing to talk about on YouTube. I'm in complete agreement with you. I'll just put it that way. Troll King says, do you know anything about 2222? What is it? I can't see that because that stupid thing's in the way. 22 something portal. So look, humans have a thing about numbers. Bear in mind, numbers are concepts in your head. If we didn't have a base 10, that wouldn't be 22. 22 is 210. Why do we use base 10? Because we have 10 fingers. If we had 12 fingers, 22 would be 4 more. We would still use 22 because it would be 2 of 12 plus 2, right? Which would be 26. So 2202, I don't know. I mean, 222. Are you saying February 22nd? I mean, again, I don't know about it. Anyway, the point being is that, you know, people get hung up on angel numbers, you know, because their phone says 1111, you know, or something like that. And people are always looking for things, you know, 0808 and, you know, all that. Look, it only has meaning if you give it meaning. Am I saying that there aren't, you know, certain days that might, I don't know. You know, the thing is, we live in a matrix that responds to our expectations. So, you know, what do I know about it? I don't know anything about it. But I don't, again, the reason why you're hearing annoyance in my voice is because I don't think there's anything spiritual in deferring your power over to something outside of you that you have no control over. Numbers, you know, your clock will hit 11:11 twice a day, every single day. And if you say, oh my God, I looked at my watch, it said 11:11 and I saw it twice today, you know, well, it's going to do that every day. So it's, you know, you're going to see numbers like that all over the place. And again, it means, you know, people think, you know, I'm special because I'm seeing these numbers. And the assumption behind that is that something out there, apart from you, has now chosen you. This is why people talk about being chosen ones and being, you know, super empaths and all that, because people need to feel special. And you already are special. I'm telling you that your soul is God. So why does God care that there's some number flying around? 11:11. Does God go, oh my God, it's 11:11, I'm special? And God says, no, I was already special before that arbitrary number that happens twice a day on your arbitrary 24-hour clock that you've created. You know, so who cares? I mean, something special might happen, but if it does, it's because you were expecting it. So instead of focusing on portals and, you know, all that stuff, focus on you. Anyway, forgive my you know, because the other thing is I'm talking about some deep stuff. And so it annoys me when people want to distract it with some other thing that's flying around the internet, which, you know, who gives a crap about any of that? You know, what do you feel about what I've been telling you? Why aren't you asking me? Tell me how I can become God. How can I truly understand that? How can I take control of this universe? You want me to focus on portal 2202, whatever the hell that means? You can create a portal right here and right now. You can, if you haven't done, go do the interdimensional meditation. There's free meditations on my YouTube channel. Go do that. Go create your own portal. Let's grow up beyond the childish little things. Does that mean 2202 isn't going to be a portal? I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I'm already working to be in that state right now. I don't need anything or anyone else outside of me to experience that. That's what this channel is about. That's what I want to give to you. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. And this is why I tell people, if you're new to the channel, go and binge watch the videos on the playlists. Go learn what it is that I'm teaching. And you have to do the work. You have to do the work. If you don't do the work, in fact, if you want things to go south in your life, the easiest thing to do is just do nothing. You will be completely controlled by your unconscious mind. You'll be completely controlled by your 3D programming, and your life will turn to hell. You know, go talk to the people who've, you know, experienced that. Anyway, before I start getting myself into trouble, I'm going to stop there. I don't see any other questions, unfortunately, so I guess we'll stop there. Anyway, don't take it personally. I'm really here to help you. So as always, if I've done or said anything that hurts anybody's feelings or pisses them off, just know that my goal is to help you achieve your empowerment, and anything I can do to make that happen, I will. So that's what all this stuff is about. Thanks again, everybody, for being here. I love you all. And as always, if the solar flash don't come, and or I don't get beamed up to the Starship Enterprise, or if I myself don't shift myself out of this frequency into 5D and disappear, if none of those things happen, I will see you all very soon. Please take very good care of yourselves. Thank you very much.